middle of a forest, at a long-abandoned campsite, screams are heard on every full moon night. Have you ever woken up to the sound of screaming, only to realize one of your friends is missing from their tent? Or found footprints outside your tent and wondered, who or what left them there? What I'm about to tell you isn't just a nightmare I lived through, it might be part of a curse. Welcome to Nightmare and Fear. I bring you disturbing camping horror stories, straight from the darkest corners of the wood. Don't forget to subscribe. It's completely free, and I'm aiming for 500 subscribers. Join us, because the next nightmare might be yours. My name is Ethan. I'm 27 years old. It all started last summer, when I planned a trip with 3 of my closest friends to a hidden campsite deep in the mountains. The locals called it Whispering Pines, because when the wind passed through the trees, it made whispering sounds. While most said it was just the wind, an old woman told us, "Those are the voices of the ones who never came back." We laughed, but we shouldn't have. I'm Alex, and this trip was my idea. With me were Mia, Jake, and Tyler. We've been camping together for years, but this one was different. This place had no roads, wasn't even marked on a map. I found it through Google Earth. It felt like an adventure. Or madness. Maybe both. The first day went by without any issues. The weather was clear, nature was quiet. We set up our tents, lit a fire, and laughed late into the night. But after midnight, everything changed. The first weird thing happened after the fire had died down. I was trying to sleep when I heard something. A faint crunch, like someone stepping on dry leaves. At first, I thought Jake had gone to pee. But then I peeked into his tent. He was there. So was Mia. We were all awake now. Except for Tyler. His tent flap was open. And he wasn't inside. Under the pale moonlight, I noticed something in the dirt. Footprints. But just one set. And they led out of the campsite, not a single print coming back. We grabbed our flashlights and followed the trail into the woods. It felt like the right thing to do, or maybe we were just scared of staying still. That's when we heard it, whispers. Not from us, not from any direction we could trace. But all around. Someone doesn't belong here, he's ours now. Mia dropped her flashlight. Jake was shaking. And me? I kept walking. There was a voice in my head calling me. Tyler's voice. Help me! But it was a trap. I know that now. Just as we reached the fire ring again, I saw something buried in the dirt. The wind had exposed it, a shallow pit, right under where we had lit our fire. Inside were bones. Human bones. And a note carved into a rotten piece of wood. Everyone who sits by this fire loses someone. By morning, Tyler was still gone. The footprints vanished. It was like nothing had ever happened. When we returned to town, no one remembered him. Not even his own family. It was as if he never existed. But I still had one thing. A photo on my phone, the 4 of us by the campfire. Tyler was right there. And just behind us, a figure. Standing by the tents. Eyes pitch black. A crooked smile on its face. Was this curse real? Did Tyler ever exist? Or did we summon something that night? When you're camping, and you hear footsteps around your tent at night, would you look outside? And if something calls your name, would you follow it? Candle never forget. Some places don't just echo. They whisper. And they call for you. Have you ever doubted your own eyes? Have you ever woken up at a campsite, 4 nights in a row, in a different place each time? And what if your friends started telling you that you never made it back from that trip. This isn't just a nightmare I went through, because I still haven't woken up. My name's Ethan. This happened last summer, during a camping trip with a few close friends. The spot was by a hidden lake deep in the woods. No name on the map. Just water, trees, and silence. There were 4 of us: Nora, Liam, Chris, and me. Day 1 was easy. We set up the tents, gathered wood, joked around, lit a fire. The lake was so still, the reflection of the trees looked frozen in time. But that stillness? It wasn't peace. It felt more like a trap. That first night, I went to sleep in my tent. But in the morning, I woke up inside the old fishing shack near the lake. The place had no windows. Just rotten wood and a locked door. From the outside, Nora found me. Her face went pale. "Ethan, you were just with us this morning. We had breakfast together, then you vanished." But I didn't. I never had breakfast. When I opened my eyes, it was still night. Second night, I stayed alert. I watched the time, 2:13 a.m. Closed my eyes. Just for a second. Opened them again. The campsite was abandoned. The tents were gone. Fire out. Total silence. But inside that silence, a voice. My voice. "Get out. They're keeping you here." It came from outside the tent. I froze. But then I saw a handprint press into the tent wall. From the outside. Not a human hand. For long fingers. Thin. Claw-like. Next morning, something was off. Chris was stirring soup with a rock. Nora didn't speak, just stared into the lake. And Liam never blinked. Not once. That night, Nora never came into her tent. Liam sat by the fire, unmoving. I checked Chris's tent. Empty. Then I heard his voice. "Ethan, are you inside?" Same voice. But hollow. Too perfect to be real. I didn't go inside the tent that night. I kept my eyes open. Didn't sleep. But with one blink, I was somewhere else. Everything was red. Sky blood red. Forest on fire. There were 3 tents by the lake. Burned. Next to them, a stone. My name was carved into it. Ethan, lost on the 4th night. So, did I really survive this story? Or am I still trapped in that forest, reliving the same night, over and over again? If you dreamed the same night 4 different ways, which one is real? Candle, and when you go camping, are you really waking up each morning? Have you ever seen yourself in a photo and remembered never being there? Have you gone camping with a friend, only to learn that friend never existed? And what if you never went camping at all? This might not be a story, it might be the last memory I can still trust. My name's Kyle. And as I'm telling this, I honestly don't know which parts are real anymore. But one thing I was sure of back then. I didn't go to that campsite alone. Or at least, I thought I didn't. Last summer, I went deep into a forested mountain range. No signal, no nearby trails. The trees were thick, the sky barely visible. I was supposed to camp there with my best friend, Mason. He was the one who suggested it. But today, there's no record of Mason online. No photos. No number. Not even one message thread. When we arrived, Mason led the way. He talked, I laughed. We set up our tents side by side, built a fire, told old stories. I swear we laughed together. But sometime past midnight I woke up. And Mason's tent was untouched. Zipper sealed. No footprints. Just mine. The next day, I started recording audio on my phone. Just in case. While walking through the woods, I left it on. When I got back to camp, I hit play. Here's what I heard. Recorded audio. Mason, do you see that old cabin? Why aren't you answering? Mason? Mason! But through the entire recording, it's just me breathing. One voice. And then, a whisper, not mine. Don't leave him here. That night, I went through my phone gallery. There was a picture of me, sitting outside the tent, smiling. The fire was burning behind me. But something was wrong. Who took the photo? I had no tripod. I never handed my phone to anyone. And the angle? It was taken from above, like someone was watching from the trees. In the right corner of the photo, a dark shape. Tall. Like Mason. But faceless. On the fourth day, I wandered into the deeper woods. I found a rusted old scout cabin. On the door, a corroded metal plaque. Dozens of scratched-in names. I recognized one. Kyle. My name. Below it, Mason. Scratched out. Underneath, the same name again, Kyle. And carved at the bottom. Only one comes back. So, when you go camping, how do you know the person with you is really there? What if some of your memories are just your brain filling in the blanks? And what if that tent was never shared at all, and you've always been alone? Kendall, sometimes, when you go camping, it's not someone else you lose. It's yourself. Have you ever lived the same day, twice? Woke up at your campsite and realized everything was exactly like yesterday? And what if your friend turned to you and said, "We're never getting out of here"? My name is Alex. And what I'm about to tell you, I'm no longer sure if I lived it, or imagined it. But it felt real. And maybe, if you ever camp deep enough in the woods, you might find yourself in the same loop. There were 4 of us. Me, Harper, Jonah, and Ellie. We finally went on the camping trip we talked about for years. We found a hidden place deep in the woods. It was called Willow Cradle. Nobody we knew had ever heard of it. We set up our tents, lit a fire, and spent the night telling stories. Everything felt normal. The next morning when I woke up, everything was exactly the same. The fire was still glowing faintly. The tents were arranged identically. Harper was making coffee. Jonah was rummaging through his bag. Then Ellie looked at me and said, "The stars are going to be even brighter tonight. I can feel it." Same words. Same tone. Same look in her eyes. This wasn't déjà vu. This was a reset. By the 3rd morning, my bag was empty. No phone. No map. No water. Harper turned to me and asked, "Why didn't you come out of your tent yesterday?" But I did. We ate together. We laughed by the fire. I remember it. Then Ellie whispered tearfully, "Alex, we haven't seen you in days." If I remember those days, then who's lying, me or them? On the 4th day, the sky stopped moving. The sun froze above the trees at exactly 9 a.m. The birds chirped in the exact same rhythm. The wind blew in the exact same direction. Jonah snapped. He shouted, "The forest won't let us leave. Every day restarts, but something's missing. Don't you see it?" That night, deep in the woods, I heard something. A voice. "Alex, you forgot where you were supposed to go." It was my voice. The next morning, Ellie was gone. Her tent was untouched. Her gear still there. But no one could find her. No one even remembered her. It was like she never existed. The sixth morning. 9 a.m. again. Harper making coffee. Jonah digging through his bag. But this time, I didn't speak. I just watched. They repeated every word, every movement. Exactly the same. Like they weren't remembering. They were repeating. So when you go camping, how do you know time is moving? What if the days are just illusions, a loop with no end? What if your friends aren't your friends anymore, just shadows repeating roles? Kendall, sometimes the forest doesn't shelter you. It traps you. And your campsite becomes your coffin. Have you ever heard music in the middle of the woods where no one else is supposed to be? Have you ever felt eyes watching you right from the edge of the darkness? And what would you do if something was waiting for you outside your tent when the sun came up? I have. And I wish I didn't have to talk about it. My name is Noah. Last fall, my brother Eli and I planned a 4-day camping trip. No phones, no screens. Just the woods, some quiet, and time to disconnect. We picked a place called Stonewhistle Clearing. It wasn't even on most maps. Locals didn't even remember the name. It was remote, eerie, but the silence was tempting. But sometimes, silence is too silent. The first night was calm. We pitched our tents, made a fire, watched the stars. Everything felt perfect. But around midnight, I heard it. A piano. A slow, broken melody coming from deep in the woods. Like someone pressing the same 3 keys, over and over again. I stepped out of the tent. There was nothing. Eli had heard it too. But the moment we looked for it, silence. Weird wind, we said, and went back to sleep. The second night, the music came again. This time it was closer. And with it, footsteps. Soft crunching sounds on the leaves. Eli froze. I gripped my pocket knife tight. We peeked out, but again nothing. Just the woods. And that sound, coming from the north. Night 3 started earlier. As the sun went down, the piano began to play. And Eli whispered, "I think I've heard this before." But that was impossible. The notes didn't change. Didn't evolve. Just those same 3 keys on loop. That night we didn't sleep. We sat by the fire, just listening. Then, a hand reached out from the other side of the fire. Thin, black, trembling fingers. Eli screamed, but I couldn't move. The hand didn't cross the fire. It just hovered, then vanished. Final night. We decided to sleep outside the tent. Maybe if we faced it, it'd leave us alone. Around midnight, Eli nudged me. "Noah, something's watching us." I opened my eyes and turned. 2 eyes stared from the bushes. But they didn't reflect light. They weren't eyes, they were holes. And the music started again. But it wasn't piano this time. It was our voices. Our laughter, our conversations, distorted, slowed down, turned into melody. I stood up. But Eli didn't move. And those eyes turned to him. When morning came, I was alone. Eli's sleeping bag was empty. But all his stuff was there. The worst part? No one remembers him. My phone had tons of videos. But he's not in any of them. The voice in every clip was just me, talking to myself. And inside my bag, there was a note. "Don't follow the music. Because the music follows you." Kendall, is Stonewhistle Clearing real? I don't know. But sometimes, I still hear that melody in my dreams.